The new Petals and Wings Stamp TV kit is full of delicate images that are not only perfect for bright, fun springtime cards, but when stamped with soft, neutral colors, they'll make the perfect, clean and simple sympathy card. Let me show you the tools and products you're going to need to do this project. First, you're going to need some stamps, and I'm using a couple of the stamps from the new Petals and Wings Stamp TV kit, and I have this long stock of foliage that comes in the kit, and I also have a stamp that says with sympathy. Both of these are included in the kit. Then I have some markers, and these are water-based markers by Memento. I'm using Cantaloupe, and I'm also using Rich Cocoa. Then I'm going to use my Stamp-A-Majig so I can get perfect placement of my greeting. I need a pair of good scissors to cut ribbon, so I'm using the Cutter Bees. And then I have some of the 3/8 of an inch ribbon. This is the brown double stitch, the chocolate brown double stitched. This ribbon also comes in the kit. And I'm using a piece of the Gina Designs 120-pound heavy base weight white cardstock. And this cardstock is cut at 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, and I'm going to score it at 5 1/2 inches, and that's going to be the first step. Now, when you're using our heavy base weight cardstock, you want to make sure that you score nice and deep, and do it a couple times, because the cardstock is so heavy that you want to make sure that that divot in there is nice and deep, so when you fold it over you don't get any cracking and you get a nice smooth edge. But for this card project, don't fold it yet. Just put your score line in so you know where the card front will be, but you're going to score it when you're all done. The next step is to take the large foliage stamp, and you're going to start by using some of the Cantaloupe marker. Color directly onto the stamp using that marker and cover the entire stamp with Cantaloupe ink. This ink is the same ink that's in the ink pads, but you can do some fun techniques when you use the markers instead. This technique is called thumping. And you start with the lighter color, and then you take the darker marker, in this case, this is the Rich Cocoa, and you tap marker all over what you just colored. And this is going to give a multicolored image. And you want to go all the way down the stems too. Okay. Now, because some of that cantaloupe ink may have already dried, you're going to do a technique called huffing. And what that is breathing warm, moist air over the image to reactivate all of the ink. And it looks something like this. And now I'm going to stamp that right here on the side, like that. And if you look closely, you can see the multicolored images. You'll see some of that cantaloupe shining through and some of that rich cocoa splattered on there. Gives such a pretty look. Now, if you have a stamp cleaning pad, you can clean this off, or if you use a baby wipe or something, that's fine too. I don't have one, so I'm just going to stamp that off a couple of times just to make sure all the ink is off there before I start over. And I'm going to do the same thing one more time, because I'm going to stamp that image again right next to it, but a little bit lower this time. And you can really create just fields and gardens of foliage and flowers when you stamp them at different heights. And then I'm going to thump all over the surface of that again. And what's fun about this is every time you do it, it looks a little bit different. Makes it very interesting on your project. And now again, I'm going to huff over this to reactivate the ink. And I'm going to place that a little bit lower, right about there. And again, you can see this one looks really cool. It's got all different little speckles in there. Now my next step is to use a little bit of ink, and I'm going to use the Memento black ink for this. You could use brown too. Or you could use, I have also the walnut stain here. Maybe I'll use that just to make it a little bit interesting. I'll use the walnut stain because I want it to be brown. And then I'm going to create the imaging sheet for my Stamp-A-Majig. Make sure that I have my greeting perfectly lined up. So I'll start by lining up the imaging sheet in that little right angle there of the tool, and I have my tool on the left-hand side of the imaging sheet. Now, if you're right-handed, if you're left-handed, you can do it the other way. This might be easier for you to do it this way while you're stamping with this hand. So you can do it either way. But since I'm right-handed, I'll keep the tool to the left. And then I'm going to ink up my stamp with this walnut stain distress ink and stamp it on the imaging sheet. Now I'm going to line up the imaging sheet exactly where I want it on my card. And I'm going to put the greeting right down at the bottom there. And replace the tool. Oops, I moved my card. There we go. Replace the tool right into that right angle. Make sure that looks straight. And ink it up again and stamp. And there we go. We have the With Sympathy greeting right down there at the bottom. Now I'm going to add a little bit of ribbon to my card. And what I'm going to do is just wrap some of this ribbon around the top of the card. And I'm going to just tie a very delicate little knot. I'm not going to do anything real fancy because I want to keep that delicate, clean and simple look. There we go. There's my ribbon. And I'm just going to cut that nice and short. Like that on one side, and like that on the other side. There we go. And now that I have that done, I can fold the card. And using the tool from the Score Buddy, I'm going to just make sure that that's got a nice crisp crease in it. And there is my clean and simple, very delicate little sympathy card. This clean and simple layout could be transformed into a cheerful thank you or birthday card by using bright, vibrant colors and adding liquid pearls, rhinestones, or nail heads to accent the foliage.